So yeah, time to open up and read this brand new story. Yeah. So, yeah, this one's pretty good. And like the other one that I watched before, which is Hunter x Hunter, this one I thought I was going to watch in between, which didn't really end up happening. It did somewhat like the last one, but that was more like less days and less on and more training, which is less intense and also less days. Again, very weird, and this went quicker than I thought, because a lot of the time when I'm doing nothing, besides if I get Lego, well, that's expensive, so I don't. Again, I maybe might get some, and I think getting some might be a good idea to like spend some time, and then making Lego will be adding on to some more stuff, because I have the stuff with that, besides the point. One of the things I do think is fun is in here, a lot of it is interesting about trying to make books. And a lot of isekai with like one person with the situation, it usually goes pretty well. And with this, it does go pretty well, besides with the ending, but I will mention that soon. But you do get some really deep messages. Because when I originally watched it, this is another one like Hunter x Hunter, where I watched the original and then I was like, okay, it's another isekai, and I'm not really a book person. I'm not going to go long story short, but because I've got my dyslexia and speaking language, well, a lot of books are like harder for me to read, so I don't get like as much like, oh yeah, I'm going to read, and yeah, I'm going to do that. But instead I like watch stuff, entertainment, this, that, the other, and that sort of like gives me like, yeah, this is fun, this is entertaining, this is 100% amazing. But it does mean that I just watch a lot of stuff. As you can clearly see, a lot of stuff is watched. But that's why I originally was like, I'm not going to watch it, it's just some person celebrating books. And like, fair, it's more than that. They do books, they do paper. There is a focus that she's like, oh, I want to make my library. But she constantly finds hurdles in a way. And this is back in the time when like books were not pressed. And you have that system slowly get instrument throughout the series. You get like the letters come in at a certain point. You know, the letters that like a lot of people create. They make paper. They make paper book. They make types of ink. Obviously, for someone who wants to make a library, you can kind of tell those sort of things will come in. But the one thing I love is the main focus on the series, which doesn't say on here. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna leave that for Pacific section, obvious section. But I do like this. I do think this is a good series. It is really entertaining. And yeah, let's move on. So yeah, one of the main focuses in this series is this disease of sorts, the devouring, which is so interesting because a lot of isekais, you come to this world and then you have superpowers. Oh yes, I'll take this chain and break it in half. And you have this. Or you have like, yes, if you do this, Y and Z, it is more comical and you get like a smartness to it. And she does have a smartness to it, but I don't know if there's many series that's like, yeah, you have the smartness, but you are, in a way, dying. This could kill. This is lethal. And the other thing is the questioning, because a lot of shows, like, and then this person came into this, a lot of people question, like, including, I think, one of her friends and the priest, questioning, and then the priest slowly realizing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but she's from another world, like the whole thing is meant to, but they question it in like a interesting way, because what's essentially happened is like, yeah, you grew up with someone and then they acted a bit different, and then you realize they're not them, they're someone else. And in a world where magic is a thing, you don't know what this could mean in the bigger term. And I love that that's taken to the seriousness. And that's what I like about this. A lot of like isekais are mostly either fun or very trying to be serious, but aren't. There's only a couple that have that seriousness that I like Slime has some moments of like seriousness, etc., etc. And you do have a joke in stuff, oh, in our world, back in our world, and all that stuff. And you do get that here. But a lot of them are like very comical. But this takes it so, certain moments so seriously. Like the idea of like someone taking over someone else's body for like the scenes that they have that discussion in and that idea in is treated like it should. Because that is, like, she had no control over it. Obviously. She died and then came back to life in another person's body. Obviously. But that idea is like, is the original person dead? Did like by inhabiting the body, did the body just not die? And then like, it's so interesting. And I don't think you ever truly get answers of what happened to the original sort of like soul. You never do. Which I like. Leave that. The other thing I like is a lot of isekais, they end well. They end on like a good note. But the one thing that I like is she laments on not having enough moments with her family. And this fully takes the moment of like, fully takes the idea of like, oh, I didn't like do enough with my family, and like she regrets it. And I love it. That idea is really interesting to look into and to think about. And I love it because of that. It's really fun. And like them being like, well, I did. And like having at the end, because of all the choices of the stupid people around her, having to like, because originally it was like up until she was an adult, sort of like thing. I think as an adult, they don't question it. They say the sort of like this is like a celebration where you celebrate when you become a grown-up. I don't fully know what it is, but they have to cut it short because like, oh, we have to now declare that like, oh, your daughter's dead and you'll never communicate. And it's like, it is for the best. It is what needs to be done. But like, do you have to be so sad? Yeah. It's just a lot. And this is going to be a big review because this series, because at first I immediately looked at this and was like, this is just another isekai. And it was like, when I slowly watched it, it was like, yeah, you get like fun stuff. But when you get to certain moments, definitely when like the friend figures out like, oh, this is not the original soul of the person, that's very weird to think about. But it's that moment is like seen as what it is. Really, really interesting. So yeah, it's, again, I just absolutely love it. Because it does take itself seriously. It does have those drama moments that absolutely point to this being that type of show. That type of show that like deconstructs it. The devouring sort of cast. The nobles and all of that. And even when she becomes sort of like this person of the church and has 3 people following her, that storyline and having people being like children, like, you do get some of these dark moments, but like that's the one moment, like, yeah, I kind of can see in the isekai that like the children in a way are dying, starving, and having one person on my knees being like, please don't send me back. Again, other shows have done stuff like that, but again, this does it so interesting. So yeah, this is a really good show, really good characters, and 100% worth to watch. So yeah. So I hope you enjoy, and Good night.